So next I want to share my screen back again and introduce Nicole Abernathy. So this is a moment to be able for us to hear from her. I've known her for 3 or 4 years now, right, Nicole?
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I think it's been about 4 years now.
Yeah. And boy, you guys have come a long way. And then everything hit at once with the pandemic. So I can't wait to hear about what you're going to talk to us about. Do you want me to just stay on camera or do you want to share screen?
I need a little direction. I think you gave me like the most interesting spot of the event because now my brain is already going in all of these directions. And I think I've like added or changed things with every presentation that I've heard. So I need the help of direction. So I am going to share my screen as we go through this.
Okay, cool.
That is this. We're going to share here. We're going to move your picture so I can click present. Cool. There we go. How are we doing?
We're doing great. I'm going to took my video off, so it's just about you, but I'll be ready to comment along the way.
I was going to say, you know that I am welcome for anybody to jump right in and comment or question. So yes, please, everybody. I am not a very formal speaker. I really, really miss the opportunity to be in person and get to interact with facial expressions and people and voices and all of those things. So please feel free. And Leilani, if something pops up in the chat or something like that, just feel free to interrupt. So like I said, and Leilani introduced me, my name is Nicole Abernathy, and I am the Innovation Facilitator of Warroad School District. And I want to talk to you a little bit today. I really love that Dr. Simon and I were back to back because I'm going to talk about a lot of things that she said from a different angle, maybe, or a different point in the progress to the things that she was discussing. And so what I want to talk to you about today is, where do we go from here? What are we doing now? We've done this stuff, but really understanding that in order to answer that in each individual district or circumstance, we really have to understand where we as individuals and districts and schools are at to know what the right steps are for us. I have heard, like I said, all of these great presentations and ideas and places where I'm going, oh, I wish, I want to get there, or that's a great place, or yeah, we want to do that too. But we have to be really careful when we jump off of this crazy train that we've all been on. We have to be really careful about what our next steps are. And I think that we have to do that in a way where we really assess who we are, where we are, what we have going on for ourselves, and then move in the direction that we can go. I think it's really important that we access all of these other ideas, but then we really take that moment to look inward and say what is best for us. So I want to share a little bit about who we are. A lot of people don't know Warroad. And we're kind of a unique little school way up in northern Minnesota. So I want to tell you a little bit about us. Warroad School District has 4 schools. We have the Early Learning Center, the Warroad Elementary School, and Northwest Angle Inlet Elementary, and we have a high school. Our Early Learning Center, our Warroad Elementary, and our high school are all connected in one main campus. The Warroad Schools has this mission statement that together we create a future of excellence by providing a learning community that is personalized, innovative, and secure for all learners. And we're actually just on the tail end of our current strategic chunk of time where our board is going to be meeting again this summer and kind of reframing that and looking at updating where we're going with our school district. We've been working on this personalized, innovative track for, like Leilani was saying, about 4 years since she and I got connected about 4 years ago. And so we've got a different perspective, I think, a lot like Rapid City had, where you've been working on a lot of these things. Paul in New Ulm has been working on a lot of these things. But man, if we could have just known that COVID was coming, we could have maybe strategically placed some of our innovations in such a way that would have been great too. So we have about 80 instructional staff. We have about 1,100 student learners across the district. We do have about 10% of the Native American or Indigenous peoples in our population. We have about the same in Laotian and a small amount of African American, and otherwise we're generally white Caucasian. I think I bring this up because I want to have that frame of reference of who we are versus who other districts are. I share with you this information because it really helps me frame what I'm talking about when I talk about where we can go with innovation in our school. In our school, we don't have departments full of people. We have people who cover a lot of departments. So our high school principal is the principal for our grades 5 through 12, and he's our district assessment coordinator. Our elementary school principal has 3 different schools that she's the principal of. Our dean of students is also the activities and community education director. Our special education director is also the director of all student intervention services, including 504s, ADSYS program, title program, and the homeschool liaison. I'm the innovation facilitator. I cover all of curriculum and instruction, professional learning and development and training, as well as all ed tech integration for our school district. When COVID hit last year, we actually didn't even have an IT director at the time. We had an off-site IT support group and an on-site tech who really just took care of some boots on the ground type things. So when we talk about our capacity to be able to move through innovation, we also have to look at who we have available to do that. I love hearing about some of these larger districts where they start talking about their departments of people and their director here and their director there and their coach here and their coach there. And I'm like, that is awesome for you guys. We don't have that here. And so when we talk about getting some of these things done, or even taking some things off of the teachers' plates, we have to be really careful about that, because we just have to really understand our own human resources and where we can go with our innovation. I put this quote up. It's a great day in Warrior Nation. We really have an attitude of trying to keep that idea in sight that, you know what, we're a warrior nation here together, and we work together to make these things happen. And sometimes that's successful and sometimes it's not. And when it's not, that's also a moment where we really have to take that, okay, what's going on, what's not working, and how do we fix it? Because we're a small team and we're a small community. I always love this. Leilani, I'm going to go back to you for a minute. Leilani was going to come visit me this summer. She's mentioned Bemidji quite a bit and how she was going to come up to Bemidji and she was just going to swing by with her mom and come and visit. But then Leilani, do you want to tell them what you discovered?
Yeah, you're kind of far. It's kind of like a day's ride. And yeah, it's a long ways. And my mom doesn't sit in the car that long. So yeah, Doug and I are going to have to come up there alone.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the thing, you guys. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse pointer as I'm sharing my screen here. I grew up in Minneapolis. I grew up in Brooklyn Center. I'm a graduate of Brooklyn Center High School. My husband and I met and went to college down here in Winona. We were teaching in the St. Cloud, central Minnesota area for quite a few years, living in Annandale, just here on the Wright Stearns County border. And then my husband got this job in Warroad. And there are some people who have heard of Warroad, some people who have never heard of it. And there's a lot of people who have no idea where it is. So I'm just going to share that, you know what, when we talk about these things on where we're at, I'm going to jump to a metaphor kind of state of this. But here's Warroad, way up there. Let's just say where I'm sitting right now, I am 6 miles from the Canadian border. My house is 4 miles from the Canadian border. That little school that I mentioned, we have the Northwest Angle Inlet School. That school's right here. Now, when I say right here, I mean way up there. You'll also notice that there is no connection of landmass between the Northwest Angle and the central portion of Minnesota. So yes, our school bus actually has to run from Warroad, go up into Canada, cross the Canadian border, cross back into the United States border in a lovely little customs stop that, yes, this is a shed. It actually looks a little bit more like a greenhouse now with glass walls and an iPad. You'll see the phone there. You used to just push the flag for the country you wanted to talk to. And then you go back into United States territory, pick the kids up from the Northwest Angle, and then drive back through. Again, this is lovely Jim's Corner. We do have an elementary school up here, though. This is the new version of the elementary school that just got finished last year. Up until this point, this far right-hand side where you see all the windows was all the school existed. It was a one-room schoolhouse. Now we call it the one classroom schoolhouse. This other side over here is a community room, kind of like a big open gym type area. So we have to consider that, you know, when we have unique experiences. We just got this picture sent from the teacher who teaches grades K through 6 up at the Northwest Angle. This was a tool that her husband just built for her. You'll notice that it's a body of a snowmobile with some wheels, and she sent that picture to us today. My husband built this for me so that I don't have to walk the end of the trail to get to the school and back home again. And so, you know, when we are talking about all of these innovations are wonderful if they fit where we are and what we're doing in our schools. And that's been a really resounding theme for me and my team as we've talked about what do we do with all of this energy that we have conjured up for dealing with COVID. And so sometimes it feels like there's this vast amount of innovation, so much technology, so many opportunities, but we really have to be careful and identify where we are. So here in Warroad, where we were before COVID, we were working on this idea of working towards personalized pathway program. We were doing a lot of training on personalized learning and innovation. We were working towards building a technology environment that really worked for a comprehensive approach. We had adopted Schoology, which is our learning management system across grades K-12, and we even actually activate it for our earliest learners in the Early Learning Center, as well as our ECFE, to develop a common communication platform. We also integrated with Infinite Campus so that all of our systems can be interoperable, which is one of my favorite buzzwords, that we really make sure to try to find and identify things that will work together in an integrated way. We had also started our one-to-one Chromebook program. We are a K-6 in classroom on-site one-to-one program, and then our 7-12 we're already in take-home mode. So that all happened before COVID. And then we were working already with ClassLink, as I mentioned yesterday. If anybody is interested in that, I am more than willing to chat about our experience with ClassLink. I'm not getting paid by any means, but a network, if you will, and getting that single sign-on service so that we could really house everything in this digital environment that worked us towards building this personalized pathway program. We also have started a program that's called, a group that is called the District Development Advisory Committee. That committee has been working really hard, and I'm very excited to share that we just dropped it down to the board on Monday and got approval to begin our Unifying Learning Resources auditing and acquisition process. We'll no longer have a curriculum cycle type environment. We will be auditing actually by trimester in our school district, identifying need areas and responding to need areas at a trimester or annual basis for our learning resources in our district. You know what, we were all set there, and then COVID happened. And this is actually, I first put these two pictures in because I was like, COVID happened and this is what it looked like. This is a fact. I took these two pictures back to back of my son in our backyard taking his comprehension quiz, because I was sitting on our patio and he had had enough of distance learning. He didn't want to be in the house anymore. He didn't want to be on the computer anymore. He wanted to get out. And I felt like this was a really great metaphor. He was shouting the answers. I was reading the questions and he was shouting the answers back to me. And I kind of felt like, wow, this is real. This is real, real, real. He wants to show me that he needs to do something else. It also really reflected how I felt in a metaphor sort of way about where we were at when COVID hit. We had good structure in place. Thank goodness our swing set here was strong and sturdy and he could climb all over. I think at one point he used that beam holding the swings as a balance beam for him to walk across. And we had that in place, as I just talked about. We had this great structure. We had a lot of training on personalized learning and menu boards and choice boards and all of that. But what we discovered was we were a little bit all over the place on how we were using that structure. And so as we prepared for this year, we did a few things, and I'm going to breeze through these. And Leilani, I know our timing was a little bit off, so just stop me if we need to transition into the panel as I go through these slides.
Yeah,
But
no worries.
Okay, I'll go through them real quick. So what we did at the, cusp of the end of the last year and planning for this year is first we tried to identify what do we need and where do we need it to keep learning happening. That was our number one commitment for this year. We needed to keep learning happening. What we discovered in this format was we didn't lose learning, as Paul mentioned yesterday, but I totally agree with him that we definitely lost learning opportunities. Our teachers were trying to keep the kids busy, but in a lot of ways, to their own admittance, they were just trying to maintain the learning that we had gotten to, hoping that we were going to just have that 2-week reset and that we were going to get back to learning, not realizing that really this was much more of a long haul type thing. And so we really had to ask this question: what are we missing? What do we need to fill some of those gaps? So here are a few of the things that we did. We brought in a lot of tools, and I am not getting any kind of royalties, and I'm not even saying that this plan is exactly perfect. We will continue to audit that, but we brought in a lot of tools. On the left, as I look at the screen, the adaptive and content resources that would really allow us to continue to get learning happening in personalized ways, targeted ways, and with broad spectrum access to information. And then on the right side, as tools, we brought in a lot of tools to help beef up what we were available to do. I did put a little mention there on ClassLink and Tefera. We've used both of those programs, and we have been in a great relationship when Trinity 3 was there before, and now with Tefera, and we just love their services. So there's another one if you would like to network with me on the things that we use them for. We also had to talk about what is our distance learning program going to look like, because last year, like I said, we had a structure there, but we didn't get that learning continuing to happen. And so here are the things that we actually landed on when we did our distance learning program. We have an all-inclusive virtual classroom, 3, I should say, in grades K through 2. We did start with this attempt at leveled instead of age grouped, where, we talked about why would a teacher need to do all of this work if you have a second grader who really needs first grade because they didn't quite get there, or a kindergartner who really needs first grade. Let's level them, let's do their early assessments, and let's group them in a way that is really targeted learning. That didn't work out quite yet, and I'll get to that, why I think that was, but we ended up kind of more grade banded in that inclusive virtual classroom. In the 3rd through 12th grades, what we designed was a teacher-driven content model through the use of Schoology, so that the students in their distance learning program were getting the same content as the students in the classroom. But we also hired and onboarded a distance learning monitor program. And these are individuals who are connecting with the students who are at home distance learning, anywhere from 1 time a week for 5 minutes because they're just cruising through it, to 5 times a week, multiple times a day, checking in with them, making sure they know what they need to do. Sometimes even doing on-the-spot tutoring if they need some assistance. Connecting back with the teachers in the classroom. We have weekly meetings with those people, with the admin and support services, so we make sure that we're not losing anybody in that program. Now, I can't say we haven't lost anybody. We do have a few that we're concerned about, but we far more connected with those students this year than we did last year. And it's because these monitors know them and they're on top of it. And it's taken that responsibility away from the teachers. We also structured up our learning management format. We gave kind of more of a continuity in terms of what we wanted to see, with more of a day and week formatting and foldering process. We also talked a lot more about we intend for learning to continue. So we talked a lot about those learning access expectations, and what amount of time or what access opportunities those distance learners should have to the in-classroom opportunities. Just as a nice statistic, kind of, we're pretty proud that overall we're below that national average. We're happy about that, but we are above our regional average. Regionally, in this area, the distance learning programs aren't as robust as ours are. However, we had an extreme influx of enrollments as we announced our distance learning program. And we'd like to suggest that perhaps some of that is because we really did put a high quality distance learning program out there for our region, and people heard about it and really liked what we were doing. It has fluctuated. We had a really large elementary school group at the beginning. And that has really dwindled down as they've returned to in-person. We did have an influx of high school, and a lot of that was because of the quarantine rules with sports and sport teams not wanting to get quarantined due to close contact in the classroom and going to the distance learning program as a way to prevent that. We do continue to think about this program and how it might roll forward into the future. And one of the things has been some administrative concern over the reasons for enrollments. In some cases, we do see families letting their kids just choose to stay home, even when it's not the best learning environment for them. And so one of the things that we're talking about, how do we move forward, is how do we change that narrative so that we see the distance learning program as meaningful? As Dr. Simon mentioned, some of our students are really flourishing, and we want to make sure that we're choosing that program with good intentionality. More specifics of ways that we adapted this year. Professional learning. Instead of having the cohort that we had been doing for our personalized learning, I worked together with a mentor of mine, and we built this 4-pillar, 3-level collection of playlists. If you go into our Schoology professional learning course page, you would see this menu, and the teachers could click on any one of these folders and get a list of 6 to 9 resources in playlist format about personalized learning skills and strategies. We also understood that the beginning of the year was going to be difficult, and we couldn't do all of the in-person face-to-face training. So we created a big playlist based on teacher feedback on what they needed to know how to do for this year to get ready for distance learning. And then we created a predictable professional learning calendar. We have Wednesdays. We expanded those Wednesdays to make more time for teachers. We actually had a summit week at the beginning of the school year where we said, don't go content, just go skills. Teach them what they need to know to be able to be successful in any environment. We did come back in person. We got to stay in person all the way through Thanksgiving. We took a little break for distance learning from approximately Thanksgiving to 2 weeks into January. And otherwise, we've been able to be hybrid in person. And when I say hybrid in person, I mean in person, we just are social distance for hybrid. And then, the other part of this is not the structure. It's what barriers do we face with the people and the culture and the attitude and the capacity that we have. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean that in a way of, we've said fail forward. Well, we're getting kind of tired of having these first attempts. We're not getting to have the second attempt or the third attempt because we're just trying, we're just chucking along. So I've really adopted this motto, embrace your evolution. We're evolving every day, constantly. And there's got to be a moment where we're just embracing that we're continuing to move forward. So some of the things that we're seeing here is we have a fear of change. We had that before. Now we really have it. Not because we are fearful of what the change will be. We're just tired of change. We need to assess capacity. Again, I mentioned our admin team, we have 5 people. We have 5 people doing these jobs. And do we have the capacity to do what we need to do and do it well? Our instructional staff, they are working their tails off, doing what they can to keep that learning happening. What is the capacity as we move forward in innovation? As well as our learners, where are they at? We came back from distance learning, and a lot of our staff said, our students don't even want to be on their computer. They don't want to use that really cool adaptive technology. They're just tired of it. We need to have some face-to-face, in-person things. Gaining stakeholder buy-in is a really big one. I know some districts and some states who have some really great innovative programs, and they're like, you can't try this until you have 80% buy-in. And I think that that's a really important thing that I've been exposed to from networking, where we really need to work on where is our buy-in as we move forward into this new innovative age of technology transition. And then we also need to be really careful. We need to be really careful about growth mindset in theory versus in practice because of all these things that I've talked about. We all know that we really want to grow. We really like the idea of growth mindset. Are we at the point where we like it in theory, but we're exhausted, so we can't apply it to practice? Or are we ready to apply it to our practice? We said we got into trouble actually a couple of times early on in the COVID world because we said, COVID's really springboarding us into this digital transition, this personalization of really considering alternate pace, mode, and pathways. And And where do we want to go? Well, we want to have that virtual academy. We want to have the career-oriented pathway solutions. Dr. Simon, I'm just going to let you know, you might be hearing from a Dennis Abernathy who's going to be asking you more about that. Paul at New Ulm, they've just started theirs. Personalized learning emphasis and pathway option. When I was hired 4 years ago, it was, Nicole, your job is to come up with a personalized learning pathway solution. We still want to go there. We also recognize here that we have a lot of climate and culture things that we need to address. So this is one of my favorite comics in the world. And this is, I believe, my last slide here. But what we have to do is really have to stop and start being strategic. We know where we want to go. We have our goals. Now we need to create our systems and our procedures that are going to get us there, knowing that where we are and where we want to go is unique to us. Is similar. There's crossovers. There are things that we can do to network, but we have to be really grassroots in how we approach it. What we're able to keep and what we're able to go towards is kind of what we're looking at right now as we plan for the future. Right now, we're saying, you know what, this collective process that we use this year for professional learning, having the calendar, having a really predictable approach really was well received by our teachers. They really appreciated that. They also appreciated that opportunity for a digital personalized learning approach to our training for personalized learning. We modeled what we wanted our teachers to do, and they said, hey, thank you, we like that. We also gave the opportunity for teachers to still be able to be in person for that training. And we had about 6 who met with me for a whole half day because they said, you know what, I want that in person. And that was great. We want to have a continued unified use of our learning management system. We are working towards a common district-wide formatting of our standards review and alignment, and it is pre-formatted, and this is where we're thinking that forward, is Randa Solutions and I connected, and I pre-formatted our spreadsheet for this so that it is prepared to go to that next level where they can take what we've done and put it into a generated engine to tell us where our students should go next. We want to unify our selections. We want to make sure that we're talking about building data, and next year we're going to have a unified data culture meeting strategy. We're going to be working our improvement framework, and we're going to work really hard, and this is our golden ticket right now, is to work with the community so that parents know why and what they should be doing with their resources and their exposure to things, and not just how to log in. And those are the pieces that are going to move us in our digital transition closer to those end goals.
This is awesome. What a fast jump through you did. This is awesome, Nicole. I'm also want to congratulate you on being one of the most sophisticated smaller districts, I think, in the country. Definitely advanced work. Definitely from all, even from our national survey. Amazing work. All right. So our next thing is I am going to share a video really quick from learning.com, and then I'm going to call on Jim to say a couple words.
The future of work is changing. Now students are expected to graduate with a foundation in digital literacy and computer science, so they can use technology, create digital artifacts, and design solutions to some of the world's biggest challenges. With Learning.com's award-winning technology curriculum, EasyTech, you and your team of educators ensure that all students are prepared for a career in computer science. Through EasyTech's scaffolded curriculum, you promote digital equity by closing the digital skills gap and giving all students access to authentic learning using technology. The content areas develop students' digital skills like keyboarding and computer fundamentals, build their proficiency in word processing, presentation, spreadsheet, and multimedia tools, and enable them to practice critical thinking and problem solving with computational thinking and design real-world solutions with coding. Across these content areas, students have hands-on and collaborative practice using digital tools and skills that are the foundation to successful technology integration in the classroom. Developed by educators like you, EasyTech has an ISTE seal of alignment and is aligned to national and state-level computer science, digital literacy, and technology standards. Your EasyTech subscription gains you access to its comprehensive curriculum, which features elements like digital lesson plans with an interactive interface that individualize learning based on student performance, hands-on and collaborative projects in which students create original digital artifacts using real software programs, pre- and post-grade level tests designed to measure student growth, and discussion opportunities and other formative check-ins. The program saves teachers time with detailed scope and sequences, pre-built pacing calendars, and digital lesson plans. EasyTech helps your team ensure technology integration in the classroom is student-led, purposeful, and effective with adaptive content and gamified lessons that provide immediate feedback to students. EasyTech is designed for a simple implementation that enables your team to feel comfortable teaching technology even if they don't have prior experience. And with EasyTech's in-depth year-over-year reporting at the individual, classroom, school, and district level, your work is rooted in efficacy.
Okay, so let's hear from Jim. Hi, Jim. Nice to meet you. Introduce yourself.
There we go.
Yeah.
Jim Sadek, Regional Partnership Manager with Learning.com. And as you can see from the video, now is a crucial time about digital literacy, with children accessing content around the country, around the world, 24 hours a day. One of the biggest things is how proficient are they? And we found that about 19% of kids actually are proficient in technology. It just doesn't mean they have access to technology. So we start from keyboarding, cybersecurity, all the way up to virtual robotics, K-12 or comprehensive, adaptive, and align with state standards. So if you guys have any questions, I will put my contact information in the chat, and I would be more than happy to share any additional information and other districts that are partnered with us.
Good. Well, thank you so much, Jim. Thank you for sponsoring and thank you for showing us that video. It was awesome. I think you're doing awesome work. Obviously, it's high end. So thank you.